Okay, so let's continue on in our discussion of the engagement partner's responsibilities as it relates to performing a quality audit. And this is in AUC sections 220.18 through 19, and it involves his review of the audit documentation. So first we see here that the engagement partner should take responsibility for reviews being performed in accordance with the firm's review policies and procedures, and that before the audit is issued, he should review the audit documentation and discuss with the engagement team so that he's satisfied that sufficient appropriate audit evidence has been obtained to support the conclusions reached and for the auditor's report to be issued. So we've got some explanatory material here, sections 815 through 19. So let's go down to those sections so we can understand more of the engagement partner's responsibilities around the review of the engagement. Okay, so now we're down in the explanatory material, section 815, regarding the engagement partner's review responsibilities. And we see that these responsibilities are in QC section 10, which, as we saw in an earlier video, is a completely separate AUC, or it's a completely different section under the AICPA's statement on quality control standards. And you can find a link for that or Google this particular phrase to find it. But what it says is that suitably experienced team members should review the work of other team members to make sure that they've done the appropriate quality work. And so the engagement partner may delegate a part of his review responsibilities to other members of the engagement team as appropriate to make sure that a quality audit is performed. And so this review might include considering whether the work has been performed in accordance with professional standards and applicable legal and regulatory requirements. He should review the work to consider whether significant findings or issues have been raised for further consideration. Engagement partners should make sure that appropriate consultations have taken place and that the conclusions have been documented and implemented. He should also make sure that the nature, timing, and extent of the work performed is appropriate and without need for revision. And he should also make sure the work performed supports the conclusions reached and is appropriately documented. He should also make sure in his review that evidence obtained is sufficient and appropriate to support the auditor's report and the objectives of the engagement procedures have been achieved. And so all of these things should be done by the engagement partner on a timely basis at appropriate stages during the audit. That way, significant findings or other issues can be resolved on a timely basis and to the engagement partner's satisfaction on or before the date of the auditor's report. And so these significant findings or issues might include critical areas of judgment, especially those relating to difficult or contentious matters, significant risk, or other areas that the engagement partner considers important. So if he's following along with the engagement's progress and is appropriately reviewing it at different stages during the audit, he should be able to make sure that he understands these areas and take the appropriate actions. And the engagement partner is not required to review all the documentation. As we saw before, he can delegate pieces of the review to others, but he definitely needs to document the extent and timing of his reviews as required by Section 230. And if the engagement partner takes over a piece of the audit after or in the middle of the engagement, he needs to review the work performed up to the date of the change so that he can assume the responsibilities of the engagement partner. And so sometimes in an audit engagement, we might employ the services of a specialized or a specialist. And this could include someone outside of the firm, as we've seen in prior sections, but that person is nevertheless a member of the engagement team. So all of the partner's review responsibilities also boil down to reviewing the work of the specialist. Even though they may be outside of the firm, they're still a part of the engagement team, and the engagement partner needs to direct, supervise, and review that team member's work just as if they were part of the engagement team, because they are. And so that might include agreeing with that member upon the nature, scope, and objectives of his work and the respective roles of that member and other members of the engagement team. So he needs to make it clear to that team member what exactly his role is and where his responsibilities are. The supervision of that specialist's work also might include evaluating the adequacy of his work, including the relevance and reasonableness of that specialist's findings or conclusions and the consistency of those findings or conclusions with other audit evidence. So even though that specialist might be outside of the firm, he's still a member of the engagement team, and the engagement partner should act as such and fulfill the review and supervision responsibilities as if he were part of the firm and is a member of the engagement team.